Tonight on the Bigfooty Blues Podcast, we've got a Bigfooty Podcast virgin. We talk about the Northern Blues, the upcoming Swans match, and Doc has a major life-changing announcement. All this and more coming right up. And that, of course, would be the MacGyver theme, or as we're going to be using that for the Carlton podcast from now on to differentiate it from the Main Boards podcast, which uses, of course, the Magnum PI theme. I am, of course, a huge fan of the 80s. Anyone that's watched my video work knows that that's pretty much what I pull out. With me tonight on the Bigfooty Blues podcast are my usual folks, ODN.
Hey Wookie, I just want to reassure you that I don't plan on challenging you for the podcast hosting position. I've done a poll and I don't have the numbers. Sorry.
Until next time, and I've also got Doc here, like usual.
My name's Janet.
And welcome back from certain, shall we say, discreet operations. And once a guest, now a regular, Justin Battler is here with us again.
Evening all.
Excellent, and no longer on fire, hopefully. And for the first time ever, ladies and gentlemen, give a big welcome to Happy Dude.
Hey, how's it going? How hard is it to not dance to that music?
Yeah, well,
you might have been the only one, just quietly.
I hate to say this, but I've actually got all 7 seasons of it lying around somewhere, so it's still quite
Great show.
Still quite fun to watch.
Me.
I don't care. I'm pretty much everything I do is stuck in the 80s somewhere. This broadcast is being made from a gramophone. And
you're a pork chop from the 80s.
Something like that. Guys, moving right along, as always, we're pressed for time. But what were your highlights from the weekend? We'll start with ODN.
Pork.
Carlton didn't lose.
That's always a good start.
And it was a good highlight. It was a relatively stress-free weekend. Watched a little bit of football and enjoyed seeing some upsets and. Enjoying seeing a bit of a scrap over in South Australia with Port getting the better of the Swans. Hopefully a sign for this week for us.
Excellent. And Doc, what was your highlight from the weekend, mate?
I can't remember.
I
don't know if everyone saw my posting on the weekend, but yeah, that was interesting.
Fair enough. And Justin Battler, what was your highlight from the weekend, mate?
Well, no loss. And I'm feeling pretty good after that Hawthorn game.
Yeah. And Happy Dude, please tell me you have a highlight.
Oh, there was no infuriating umpiring decisions. And I actually really enjoyed the kick after the siren by McGrath to put Geelong away.
Yeah. I thought the McGrath kick after the siren was a great ending to that game. Coming back from 52 points down, that's the kind of stuff that
makes you poop yourself.
It makes football worth watching if you can actually watch it, and it was well worth the watching thereof. So,
the way they got the ball from their full back position to McGrath in 17 seconds is just incredible, I thought too.
It showed a little bit of desperation. Okay, coming right up after the break, we've got the Sydney game to discuss, and then later on in the program, we'll be talking all things Northern Blues. this coming weekend we've got the Swans in Sydney. How are we seeing the game this weekend, guys? And I'll pull up some stats in a minute. But ODN, what are your thoughts on this?
It's looking a little bit better for us. Swans have got a fairly extensive injury list at the moment. But then again, we've got Murphy out, they've got Good, so they're a couple of the front runners. But SCG, smaller ground. You'd imagine it's going to be a tough sort of grinding game. But surprisingly, that's the sort of game that the Swans had last weekend, and they really didn't handle it too well. So it's usually their bread and butter. So I'm looking at the jobs. They've got a fair midfield, Sydney. O'Keefe, Jack, McVeigh, Bird, Kennedy, Mitchell, Hanbury, Bolton running through there. They're probably stronger than us with Murphy out. In fact, I'd say they're definitely stronger than us in the midfield. I think a lot's going to come down to the job that I think Kasia will do on Kennedy. I think he's the one that I'd send to Kennedy. Got the strength, he's got the tackling ability, and he can get a little bit of the ball himself. And was it game number 100 for Gemmo? So and he'll Gemmo and Henderson taking Tippett and White, I'd imagine. And at the other end, how we go with Waite and Casbolt against Richards and Grundy. The way we've been going and how we've been in all of our games, I still think we're going to have the intensity. I think Sydney will come in with a bit more intensity because that was a bit of an embarrassing loss for them. So it's going to be a battle and a half, and I keep harking back to when we beat them up in Sydney with Judd starring, and I think it'll be his sort of game.
Okay, guys. Moving into just a battler. How do you see the game playing out, mate?
I see you skip me.
It's a random selection process.
Well, do you want to go first, Doc?
No, go for it.
What is this, democracy?
Well, Mike, if you look at the size of the ground, it's one of the smaller grounds, so the 50 arc almost touches the square. In a funny way, I think that suits us because we can't kick a goal from 50 metres or 40 metres in set shots.
That's true.
So I reckon the ball, if we, break even on the clearances or thereabouts, we've probably, ironically, got a better chance of shooting a score this week than on larger grounds. So that's one positive. The other positive for me is, I reckon that every week the boys are playing a little bit better. And I think we were robbed in that Hawthorn game. It's funny how all these teams happen to have off days, and that's why it was a close one against us. I reckon we're putting teams off their game. Sydney have got a few outs. They're going to, as ODN said, they're going to play a grinding game. I think we can match them in the grinding game. I think Karcher and Curnow are very, very solid players from us. I think they're embarrassing some players that are on 3 times the money. So I fancy our chances if we can sort of break even in the clearances and keep the tackle rate up.
Fair call too. And Doc, how are you seeing the game on the weekend?
Oh, hopefully with some clear eyes for a change.
Clear eyes.
Clear eyes, yeah. Get it? Sober, yeah. No.
And you wonder why I skipped you over.
I was actually
happy dude.
I was going to say at the time, I'm going to go, yeah, no, I've got nothing to add, but I figured I'd just add that little contribution instead.
Happy dude, how are you seeing the game on the weekend, mate?
Well, I've got pretty much the opposite view of just a battler as far as the size of the ground is concerned. I think the smaller ground might come to hurt us because we tend to overuse the ball, I feel, with our handballs and stuff. And Sydney are a high pressure side. I feel like it hurt us more on the turnovers on the smaller ground and sort of corner us in a little bit towards their forward attacking 50.
That's possible. I mean, we do prefer the MCG to Etihad for that reason, I think. But
yeah, I've got fair enough comments too. I mean, if they get on top of us, they'll win.
At the same time, he's right about our goal kicking. So
I was just referring to goal kicking. I mean, our goal kicking is atrocious. I mean, fucking hopeless.
Terrible.
Yeah, it pays to remember that we've got 4 of the best contested marks in the AFL in our side this at the moment, which is something we don't usually have most years. But Waite, Casbolt, Henderson, and Jamison are all fairly, rating fairly highly for contested marks. So, and in a game where it's going to be scrappy and there's going to be a lot of quick kicks into forward lines and into defence, that's a fairly good attribute to have. So.
Yeah.
Just a few stats, as always, coming into this game. This game, of course, being played on Friday night at the SCG. There's a game on Thursday night between some bunch of idiots. Not us. Last time we played the Swans at the SCG, we beat them by 16 points in round 6 2011. It was 12-15-87 to 10-11-71. We have a massive advantage over them historically, winning 127 of the 219 games we've played. We've had 6 draws, but we haven't had one since 1967 at Lake Oval. The Swans have won 3 of the past 5 against us in the last 5 matches, and including a 5-point elimination final victory in 2010.
Still hurts.
Oh, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
This will be Mick Malthouse's 45th game against the Swans in his coaching career. He sits at 27 wins over them, so his coaching record's okay. And historically, we have close games against the Swans, so we're in with a good chance. That's pretty much where it is in terms of stats.
Yeah, I've also noticed that with the Swans, they're sort of in the same boat as us when it comes to the free kick count, because they average less free kicks for, and they've got a pretty high number against them as well. So it'll be interesting to see which way that goes this week. And we also tend to average 18 more disposals than our opponents for this season as well, which is another stat that tells me that we have been overusing the ball a little bit.
I'll have to correct you slightly on one of those. No one averages less free kicks for than we do. This season we are the bottom. We are the bottom of the ladder in terms of free kicks paid for, and the Swans lead us in free kicks 18 to 16 on average. But I
was just looking at the opponent differential. They're on negative 15 for the year, and we're on negative 30. So that's quite a difference, but it's still a bit of a difference for them.
Be gentle on the Virgin, Wookie.
49. We average 49 hitouts to their 43. 76 hitouts to. They average 49 hitouts to our 43. They average 76 tackles to our 62. 158 contested possessions to our 149. We average more inside 50s. They average more clearances and more disposals. So, but that's part of the way they play footy.
Rebound footy.
So, any final thoughts before we skip along?
They'll carve us up if we don't run both ways. Simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
We'll smash them because their colours make pink.
It's women's. Hold on, isn't it women's round?
Sounds logical.
That ain't going to work.
That's why Doc likes them, though.
Yeah, because
he gets him for free.
Hey.
We've been running both ways of a lot more this year though, haven't we?
We definitely have been.
True. I reckon we're in with a big chance this week.
And if we play anything like we did last week, week before against Hawthorn,
if
it's going to be tight.
I just see it this way: if Port can beat them, there's no reason we can't. So,
are you expecting any changes, guys?
Carrots will play.
I don't think Murphy will line up.
No, I'm pretty sure Murphy will probably.
Actually, our injury list is looking pretty good in terms of the number of players that are out as opposed to the same time last year. This weekend, hopefully everyone will be available except Reece O'Keefe and Mark Murphy. So
Yeah.
Poor Reese,
Well,
he's out indefinitely.
If Carrots doesn't come up because he hasn't had any match practice, he didn't play in the VFL. So I mean, if he doesn't, if he needs that match fitness, then it'll probably be Tom Bell coming back in. He plays a sort of game that would suit the opposition, I'm leaning towards McInnes coming in for Bootsma.
Oh yeah, I'd like to see that. He's had very good form. 2 games he's played.
Well, he can go forward and back too, so he's pretty confident no matter where he goes. So he gives us another option.
All right. So we're going to talk about the Northern Blues. We did invite some Melbourne-based people along who've actually been to the games. They've left us some notes to discuss some things with. Given that the Northern Blues have only had 2 games on the TV this year, so most of us are only talking from the perspective of those 2 games. And for me personally, I'm pretty much just talking about the perspective of Hampson. Of course, playing 2 games. I have no idea what anyone else did. Actually, that's not entirely true either. I made a point of watching. But we've got a lot of people coming up and through. ODN, have you been paying any attention to the seconds?
I've been reading some of the reports, looking at the stats, and watching what I can see on TV. And unfortunately, I don't live down in Melbourne, so I can't get to the games. But particularly, I've been following the Hampson Warnock battle, and also keeping an eye out for returning players like McInnes, and seeing whether players like Tom Bell, who is going to be somebody that comes into our side off and on for a fair while, and just seeing whether he learns any lessons back in the twos. So I've been interested to see that Warnock has been tried up forward a little bit, and also actually found his way into the defensive 50 at times. That's a positive, regardless of our sort of stance on Hampson versus Warnock. It's all you can ask of your big men is that they run inside the up forward, the back and forward arcs, and actually do a little bit of work and help out now and again.
Yeah.
And it's good to see that Hampson's been given the opportunity, even with Warnock in the side, to be first ruck.
I've noticed Warnock seems to be limping a little bit. And I know we've talked about this a little bit already in various threads and whatnot, but he was limping when he was taking marks, and he's not actually rucking in the VFL. Not at centre bounces and things. So I wonder if there is some sort of injury there. There's got to be a reason why he's not back in the side.
Why are they playing him in the VFL if he's limping though, mate?
Well, I think he still makes a viable forward target. He doesn't have to jump around, and that's one thing he doesn't do anyway.
But they don't need him. The VFL team doesn't need him. If he's got an injury, rest him, let it come right. So it seems like maybe it's something that doesn't hamper him too much, and it just hobbles him when he's walking, because he seems to run okay.
I think they're taking the opportunity to teach him to play as a forward though as well. Like in the game on the weekend at halftime, you could see actually Malthouse at halftime, like teaching him marking and stuff like that, which was a little bit odd given that it was a Northern Blues game. Jab, how are you seeing the Northern Blues at the moment? How are you seeing what's coming up?
Well, I think I've only seen 2 games on TV, but it's pretty obvious to me that they try and players in particular roles. Like, I have no doubt that when Laidler comes back, he'll be tried up forward and maybe as a swing man, but primarily maybe as a third tall. He's been given a chance to develop that. Hampson, to me, like as far as VFL goes, he's so far the superior player up to the other bloke that it's not worth discussing. I'm very impressed with a young fella called Lambert, who plays for the Blues. Don't know if he's
we had a crack of a game last week.
Yeah, don't know if he's
3 weeks ago.
AFL quality to him. You never know until they play AFL, and he's not on our list. But he's a bit like Sard. Like, I was so upset that we let him go to St Kilda. Like fuck. But Lambert's a quality player for the Blues. Bell, I reckon Bell plays as well in VFL as he does in AFL. He's
strange
kind of player. It's like I don't think he's got the awareness of more experienced, mature players. It's like he's got tunnel vision when he's playing. And, you know, he does a lot of good things, but he could be a lot better.
Yep.
They're my sort of general observations. Watson, I'm a bit disappointed in his development. I was looking forward to him being, you know, a regular player this year and maybe freeing up Henderson, maybe. But he's not playing badly. It's just that I do think he's short of a couple of yards of pace, and maybe that's what Malthouse doesn't like. Yeah. McInnes, from the first game back, was really strong.
Oh, by all reports, McInnes is having a great... He's been back for 3 weeks, and the 2 games I've seen him play have been outstanding. In fact, Harker notes that as well in the notes that he actually gave me 3 weeks back. Hasn't missed a beat. He'll be back in the side before long. He'll be taking the position that's been rotated through White and Bootsma, I suspect.
Yeah.
And he was a gun there last year. I think he'll be a gun there this year, and I think he's perhaps what everyone's been waiting for down back.
We also had 2 players that made their debuts in the last round last year, McCarthy and Mitchell. And Mitchell's come back, and he's looking like he's really working his way back in, and to the point where if we need him, he'll be close to a call up. And certainly we can use his accurate kicking. But the other one, McCarthy, I think he's injured again, but he seems to have gone backwards a little bit.
Got a bit of a foot injury that keeps recurring this year for some reason. But Mitchell on the other hand, he looks like an exciting player. He knows how to play as a forward. He's presents well, kicks well.
Slow. Yeah, that's what I've noted. He's got all the skills and the size, but he's a bit slow. And maybe that's where he's playing.
I've noticed that a little bit too from what I've seen. I've got big raps on Mitchell though. One thing I noticed from the few games I've seen him play, only the one this year, was he could tap the ball down to himself to advantage and recover it on his own.
He's good below the knees, that's for sure.
Yeah, and then reading that article just came out just before the Hawks game where he was saying about he's only just getting the confidence back in his shoulders to get up and take the mark. He explains why he was tapping it down to advantage and turning his opponent around quite easily instead of opting to take the easier mark. But now that he's got that confidence back, he might lead a lot stronger.
I think next year could be a big year for Mitchell.
Yeah.
It won't be this year, but next year I think is going to be the year. Doc, have you been paying any attention to the seconds at all?
Have I been watching the seconds? Barely watch the normal stuff.
Fair enough.
No, I got nothing.
Just
nothing more to add to that anyway.
From the notes I've been given, we're told like, the coaching seems to be operating a lot better in terms of the gameplay, the cooperation between the players and the coach. Last year we had a bit of a disjointed effort where the coach was part-time, that he left, then he came back. It was a little bit all over the place. There was a bit of a miscommunication between them and Ratton, and they seem to have sorted that out this year. We've actually won a few games as well. There's a lot of good players that are doing. Buckley, for instance, is doing wonders in the VFL. If you've ever taken the time to see him play, if you haven't, there's a small highlights package that I did last weekend on him. He is so quick and so skillful with his delivery. Some of his deliveries into Warnock and Mitchell were just outstanding. I think he is going to be an absolute gun. He just needs to put a little bit of weight on, and he will fit in quite nicely. If just Phil Cleary would have just shut up for 5 minutes about his dad and trying to...
Yeah, he's an idiot.
Oh, fuck.
You know.
Menzel's all class.
Yep, Menzel.
Oh, yeah.
And Graham, I reckon, coming back from a knee injury, poor kid, but gosh, he's impressive in terms of disposal by hand and foot.
First game back, yeah.
He's a very good field kick, that young fella.
We probably might see him at the end of the year.
Yeah, Davies.
It all bodes well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a number of looking to come into the side that are our future. Whereas last year we were drawing on Davies and Allard and Joseph and Thornton when he was sent back. We were recycling the same players in and out of the side. Now we've got some real prospects, so the depth is looking a little bit better.
Well, I've said this before. We're not going back to the same well. Like whenever there's problems, we're not going back to the old firm of Joseph and Davies. And Davies has never looked further away from getting a senior game. Joseph, he's rocking it in the VFL, but
too small.
He's pretty much a VFL player, I think, and that's where he's going to stay. And Mr. Carlton's probably going to run around and stab me or something, but.
He won't be too happy.
That's the way it is. Andrew Collins is another one who
he's dropped off a bit.
Just hasn't come up this year the way he should have. Dygan, for whatever reason, hasn't been able to really recapture that first year form he had, and he will probably.
He's not playing badly.
No, he's doing it.
He's not playing with the same intensity though that he had that first year that he was here.
My theory is that Malthouse is very biased towards speed.
Yeah,
I was going to mention that
way.
It was strange though, because remember when our leadership group was announced and there was they were all going to be looked at for captaincy. Malthouse actually came out and gave Dygan some fair raps, and we were even a school of thought as well. Could he come up with something from left field as far as captain? So it's just amazing that he played an early game and he hasn't been seen since. So
I think both Dygan and Laidler did something very wrong more than twice in those first couple of games.
I think they're trying to turn Laidler into a forward as well, and it is working to a degree in the VFL. I'm not sure that would translate to the AFL that well, though. He's not. He's not like he's kicking some goals, but and he did kick some on the weekend, and he presented well. But I mean, it was against Frankston.
Yeah.
Who
very
are
weak opposition.
Probably the worst team in the VFL. So, look,
they're definitely up there. I've only seen the one Northern Blues game this year, and when I wasn't using my knowledge of the Carlton list to get over the fence and deal a bit of crap towards our own players, I did notice in the VFL, Bell seems to drift forward a bit more than what he does at AFL level and kick a few goals. He was turning himself into a bit more of a marking target, finding a bit of space. As well, which I thought was quite good. If he could work that in at AFL level, he'd be a very handy player.
Yeah, look, I think as well, stuff.
That's good.
Oh, I had something and it's just gone.
Hey, what are the main points Harks had down?
Basically, he said that the boundary line movement and the correcting the ball into the forward line is we've been correcting the ball delivery into the forward line. It's just not really working yet. We've got too many players that haven't got the skills to keep the ball moving along and moving it and delivering it properly, which is frustrating. Our senior players, and it'd be incredibly frustrating if you're a forward like Mitchell.
Correct.
Who relies on good delivery and shouldn't have to be up the ground chasing his own ball. They're not. Players aren't being moved around a lot. They're playing to fixed positions, which is a good sign. But and so players are getting the opportunity to develop in the right position that we need them to. And there does seem to be, and this isn't in the notes, but if you've watched the games and you've seen the coaching, there does seem to be a level of interaction between the senior staff and the Northern Blues. In general, players are a lot more involved. They play with a lot more purpose. So there's obviously some sort of game plan. There's an element of selfishness at times. Players basically trying to star in order to get into the senior side, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
The energy, the players are playing with energy, and there's no doubt about that. If you've watched the last 2 games, they're definitely trying. They're definitely out there having a bit of a run. Hampson got all dirty and stuff, which is always, and I tell you, having played on some of those muddy grounds when I was a lot younger, You can always tell the players that have put in by the ones that come back with the clean jumpers afterward. Because if you come back with a clean jumper on a wet day, you haven't tried.
Or you're good enough to keep your feet.
Yeah, not on the pitch that they had on the weekend.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe he was trying to catch a cold.
The centre square was quite muddy. Basically, he also said that to get the guys that are really trying to get into the team that aren't quite there yet, like Watson, McCarthy, Mitchell and Buckley, he basically said that Watson needs to work on taking chances and getting in front of his man. He's doing pretty well in his development as a fullback. He's probably not there yet, but he's getting there, and even if he was there, he's not going to displace Jamison for some time. He might displace Henderson if we put Henderson forward, but I mean personally I wouldn't take that chance at the moment. McCarthy needs more weight and strength. Just he's not built properly, and he's got to get himself off the injured list. Mitchell is he contests at the drop of the ball. He has some agility. He's just not quite agile enough apparently, and Harker thinks that can be improved. And Buckley needs to put 4 quarters together. And he did that on the weekend. He played 2 very good quarters, and he kind of faded out for the other 2. So Harker seems to be on the ball there. I'm quite impressed. Any final thoughts on the up and coming guys?
Yes, I'm biased towards larger bodied players, and we've got a lot that don't fit that category.
Yep. I reckon. Yeah, Mitchell, Buckley, and Menzel. There'll be 3 names that we'll know very well in the next coming years.
No doubt.
Can't argue with that.
Ian, final thoughts on the Northern Blues?
Yeah, no, I can't argue with what the guys just said about the players to look out for in the next couple of years. Aside from McInnes coming back in, but I think that'll happen this year. And you know, he's I'd add to that trio as being the ones I'm most excited by.
Okay. Doc has a major announcement for us.
Well, it's not major. I just got a sex change.
Dun dun dun. What do you got?
I didn't hear that.
Oh, you've done it already, haven't you?
Oh, damn it. Did it actually come through then or not? Guessing I mustn't have.
No,
Anyway.
it didn't come through. What's your announcement, mate?
It's not that major. I just had a sex change. That was it.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Congratulations, Doc.
Now you're all man.
It didn't require. Yeah, it didn't require that much change, did it?
No, not at all. No.
Bit of a MacGyver job.
Yeah.
So, do you have an announcement? Do you have anything?
Yep. I've got the announcement next week. Obviously, we scrapped the whole last dog segment. That's gone.
It was flailing around.
Wave goodbye to that. That's just totally rubbish.
It was pretty poor,
So,
really.
But now we have a new Well, I'll bring out a new segment. I won't give it away just yet. I'll wait, and you can have the whole thrill of it all by next week. Hopefully, if I get organised.
So the major announcement is Doc is going to have a segment that he won't tell you the name of just yet. But next week, tune in. Doc's going to be doing something new.
However, it will be about me talking about football.
Well,
oh my god!
I think we'll all be waiting for that.
I'm actually going to talk about football. It's unbelievable.
Okay, guys. Look, thank you very much for coming in this week. Happy Dude, thank you very much for your input.
You're welcome.
Well done, Happy Dude.
You did very well, actually. He knew stuff about games. He knew stuff about the team.
You going to eat pork?
I may as well just go home. I don't need to be here anymore. ODN, thank you for coming in, mate.
No, I'm glad to be here again. Just guys, we've got about 400 posts to get to our 1 millionth post on the main Carlton board. So that's a milestone.
Excellent.
We're still back.
That should take all of 2 days.
Oh, it'll take me 1
Sean
night.
Hansen thread.
Me numbers 1 night.
The president thread.
Jab, thank you very much.
Let's start 40-year blue on something.
Jab, thank you very much for coming in again.
Pleasure, Wooks.
And Doc, thank you for making an appearance again this week.
Pork.
Cheers, guys.
And that didn't sound like him at all. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you very much. We'll see you all on the forums.
Good night.
So.
Good night.